Okay, make sure that you have your notes out and ready to go. Today we're going to divide fractions and mixed numbers using the algorithm. Algorithm is a fancy word that means we're just going to be using numbers, no models or pictures today. Okay, so we have 3 basic steps that we're going to follow whenever we need to divide our fractions. We're going to keep, change, flip. Okay, so we keep the first number exactly as it is. You can write this in with me. Keep the first number. We're going to change the division to multiplication. So you're going to see we actually will be using multiplication to divide fractions, which you probably saw some of those patterns when you were making the models. And then the third thing we're going to do is flip the second fraction. And by flip, I mean flip your numerator and denominator. Okay, so we're flipping the second fraction. You should have that written on your notes, just like I have it written on mine. Maybe a little neater. Okay, so let's do an example here. I'm looking over here right now. We have the problem 2/3 divided by 4/5. So if I follow this method, we're going to keep 2/3. We're going to change division to multiplication, and I'm going to flip that second fraction, which means I'm going to flip-flop the numerator and denominator. So instead of 4/5, I'm going to write 5/4. Okay, and then we're back to multiplying fractions, just like we did before. So we can simplify before we multiply by dividing each of those numbers by 2, and then I'm just going to multiply straight across. 1 times 5 and 3 times 2, and our final answer will be 5/6. 2/3 divided by 4/5 is equal to 5/6. All right, to move on down. So whenever we flip that second fraction, flipping it has a special name. It's called the reciprocal. Okay, so if we look back at that example we just did, 4/5 and 5/4 would be reciprocals. To get the reciprocal, you're just switching the numerator and the denominator. Okay, so for 6/9, the reciprocal is 9/6. For 1/9, the reciprocal would be 9/1 or 9. Okay, if you have a number like 5, you know that as a fraction, that would be 5/1, so the reciprocal is 1/5. Okay, so when we flip the second fraction, we're using the reciprocal. You know that numbers are reciprocals because their product, or the answer that you get whenever you multiply them together, is always 1. Product of 2 reciprocals will always be 1. Okay, so if we just try that, 6/9 times 9/6 is going to be equal to 54/54. And that is equal to 1. Okay, so we're using reciprocals as we divide our numbers, our fractions. Okay, here we have, I'm gonna scooch it down a little bit. So our next problem, 3 divided by 1/4. First off, let's write 3 as a fraction. So I'm gonna write 3/1, and keep that. I'm going to change the division to multiplication, and I'm going to use the reciprocal, or the flip of that second fraction. So I have 3 times 4, which is 12/1, which is equal to 12. Okay, and if you remember back, we did the same problem when we started using our models. We were trying to figure out how many fourths we could get out of 3. And you guys saw that you could just multiply the whole number and the denominator, and that will give you the quotient. Okay, and here we just showed how you would prove that using numbers. All right, very good. I want you to pause the video. I want you to try number 2 on your own. Remember, keep, change, flip, and then hit play again to check and see if you got it correct. All right, guys, let's move on to the next page. here we go. We are still dividing with our fractions, but now we're also throwing in some mixed numbers. So I just made a note here, if there are any mixed numbers involved, you just need to rewrite those as improper fractions first, okay? 7 1/3 divided by 4. Our first step, let's just rewrite the problem, changing the mixed number to an improper fraction. So 3 times 7 is 21, plus 1 is 22, over 3, divided by 4 over 1. And then we're going to apply keep, change, flip. So I'm going to keep my keep my first fraction exactly the same, change division to multiplication, and flip the second fraction to its reciprocal, and then we can multiply as usual. So I know I can divide that by 2, divide that by 2, I'm going to get 11 over 6, which is equal to 1 5/6. Okay, notice, boys and girls, I am not writing over top of this. I am rewriting the problem each time, okay? Don't just try to write over what's already there. It gets too messy. So keep your work organized. All right, I want you to go on, try the problem at the bottom all by yourself, and you can pause the video and then hit play again to see if you got the correct answer.